Dr. Siddiqui had graduated from Temple University in Philadelphia, got his PhD. Then he worked for 29 years at Western Illinois University as a professor of journalism. Last year he retired from the school, and currently he's the executive director of Sound Visions of Chicago. He will talk to us this morning about what Americans need to know about Islam.
Do you want me to?
Peace be on you. Good morning. All right. Thank you very much for.
Do you want me to change the slides for you?
Thank you very much for being here this morning. I would like to thank the college for providing us with this space, my friend Dr. Ansari for inviting me here, and all the organizations that are sponsoring this program. I would rather prefer that at this time we listen to Dr. Larson and then sit down and talk, because the topic has been beautifully presented in this short video presentation, and Dr. Ansari also in his brief remark mentioned many points. So some of those points are part of my presentation as well, so I will quickly move through those sections that have already been shared with you. I have focused more on what usually we don't hear about Islam. You have already heard what usually is being said about Islam, the negative stereotypes, the violent association of Muslims and Islam. So I would like to begin with an assertion that Islam and therefore Muslims, they want to create a universal moral force consisting of people from all faiths. And going beyond, I will say, as well as those who don't believe in any faith. Because all humanity, we are riding on the same ship, whether we believe in God or not. As long as we believe in human dignity, we love everybody and treat all human beings as equal, I think this is the moral force that can save the world. Every country has a constitution, we have laws, but if we don't follow and abide by those laws, then there will be chaos, and that's why there is so much confusion, so much chaos, disaster in this world. So the beginning point would be like this gathering. Everybody who has some trust in faith, whether that is Christian faith or Islamic faith or Jewish faith or Hindu faith or any other faith. So one verse that was recited here earlier from the 49th chapter of Quran, that invites all humankind. A lot of us, our neighbors, think that Quran addresses only Muslims, which is not true. The verse specifically starts with Ya ayyuhan nas, O people, all the humanity, and then emphasizes the basic fact that all of us, we come from the same Adam and Eve, the two human beings. And God acknowledges that we are different. We are different in terms of belonging to different nations, speaking different languages. We are different in terms of the color of our skin. But God says that these differences are simply so that you know each other. Not so that you despise each other, so that some group, people or individual become arrogant. Oh, I am Arab, so I am superior. Or I am an American, so I am superior. I am white or yellow, so I am superior. That's not. God lays down a simple principle. I think Dr. Larson will also reflect on that point, where he says towards the end of this verse that indeed the noblest of you in the sight of God is the one who is most righteous. Now, who is most righteous? The one who is most God conscious. And if someone is God conscious, he or she will know that this person who appears to be of black color or speaks a different language, but still is human being. And I have a relationship with that person simply because I am also a human being. And that's the most precious connection and bonding that exists among all of us. This verse was also recited, I'm glad, in the beginning. And when I shared this verse at a conference at Sacred Heart University in Connecticut, there was a conference of Muslim, Christian, and Jewish faith leaders. So a rabbi came, he said that I never knew that so many prophets that we revere are mentioned by name in Quran. Say we believe in God and what has been revealed to us and what has been revealed to Abraham, Ishmael, Isaac, Jacob and the tribes, and in what was given to Moses, Jesus and the prophets from their Lord. We make no distinction between any one of them. So if you think about the verse from chapter 49 and this verse together, that should be a basis for working together. That should be the foundation for us thinking how we can make America even greater than what it is. And believe me, there is no country on this earth that is so beautiful in terms of the diversity of people that America embraces every day. There is no country. I just came from Kuwait, attending a conference, and I met with a person who was director of a major organization in that country. And he came to see me off at the airport, and he said, as you are leaving, I must share a sad fact about myself. And he said, I was born in this country and I have lived in this country for 55 years. But because I am not a Kuwaiti, I still hold a refugee passport from Egypt. That beauty that we share belongs to us. And we must appreciate that and use that opportunity to make ourselves even stronger. Now, some of these facts have been passed on to you. Dr. Ansari mentioned, so I don't want to repeat those things. I will move quickly to my next point. A major emphasis in Quran, in Islam, is on freedom, freedom of expression. Quran very clearly stresses, emphasizes this point, that there is no compulsion in religion. That implies that God has given this right to human beings to choose their path towards their destiny. So it's very natural that there will be different religions. And it's also obvious that those religions have to coexist on this planet Earth in harmony, not in discord. The other point that Islam emphasizes is that you should take religion not as a dogma, but as a rational basis to connect yourself with God. In Quran, there is a story of Prophet Abraham, that how he approached God. And I think that the entire story is there mainly to emphasize that your relationship with God should be based on reason. You should be rationally convinced that you have to have a relationship with your Creator. Then only you can have a better relationship with those whom He created. Whether those are human beings, whether those are animals, whether those are plants, everything that exists in the environment. So Abraham, he looks at the sun and thinks about, maybe the sun is God, but the sun sets, and he says, well, something that disappears cannot be God. Then he looks at the moon, the cool and bright light, and he says, well, maybe this is the God. But then the moon disappears, and he looks at the sky full of stars, and he says, maybe these are sets of gods. But when the stars also disappear, he says, no, God is the one who created all of this. And then he makes a statement that I now turn towards that God who is the creator of everything. This acceptance of the reality implies that as a creation of God, we have an obligation to love and respect and tolerate everything that exists around us. So when I read this verse from Quran, I looked around me and I said, well, that's an obligation. That's a responsibility that I carry upon my shoulder. And that I would like to share with my fellow Americans. I said in the very beginning that I will not say things that you already know. You may be thinking that why that is happening and why that is happening. Then why there is so much violence? Well, we can discuss that in our panel discussion when we sit down. Another point that has already been mentioned Islam considers violence as an evil, period. No if and but. So what is ISIS? An evil, period. What is Boko Haram? An evil, period. There is no connection. And anyone who thinks that there is a justification for what they do must be probably out of his or her mind. Sometimes people think, they try to connect this or that. No, there is no this or that, there is no if and but. A religion whose prophet, God said, has been sent as mercy to all humankind. The word in Quran is وَمَا أَرْسَلْنَاكَ إِلَّا رَحْمَةٌ لِلْعَالَمِينَ. And I did not send this messenger except as a mercy to everything that exists in the universe. Not simply human being, everything that exists. How somebody who claims to follow that religion will kill innocent people, will engage something as heinous and condemnable as what ISIS is doing. Another emphasis from Islam, that peace and justice go together. The purpose of Islamic Sharia, the Islamic way of life, or the purpose of any Muslim who is a practicing Muslim is to establish justice, leading to the establishment of peace. And this verse clearly says that, O believer, stand out firmly for God as witness for God to just and fair dealing. So do not follow passion, so you don't lapse in truth. And if you lapse of all or fall away, then indeed God is ever informed of what you do. So it's as much an irony to say Islamic terrorism as it is to say Christian terrorism or Jewish terrorism. Terrorism is simply terrorism. Just like a criminal is simply a criminal, whether that person is a Muslim or Christian or whatever, and must be dealt with law, must be punished for the criminal act. How can we deal with terrorism, violence that exists? By coming together as we have come together this morning. Now, a little bit of what we are doing here in this country and what really affects the establishment of justice and peace in the world. So initially we supported the uprising in Egypt and Libya, but our support was short-lived. We failed to continue to support a democratically elected government in Egypt and put our weight on the side of a dictator, General Sisi. So whenever there will be this dualism, this double and multiple standard in our dealing with people abroad, it will create confusion. But that should not be a justification for any sort of violence. I'm not saying that. Another point I'd like to mention here, that we have just recovered from a financial crisis of enormous proportion. Islam also presents a way to deal with wealth, a way to deal with financial stability, And a lot of time when I talk to my neighbors, my co-workers, colleagues in the department, they wonder, yeah, oh, Islam also presents a point of view? I say, yes. Islam also provides a path to economic stability and recovery, to a more sustainable economic growth. There is a need for a serious discussion on this issue. During that financial crisis, many major financial experts, including some of the major financial media such as the Wall Street Journal or the Financial Times, they wrote articles that during this financial crisis, the smaller Islamic financial institutions in this country perform much better than any other banking or financial institution in terms of preserving the investment of their investors, in terms of dealing with the trust that have been put in them by the people. What is the basic Islamic principle with regard to money and wealth? The more wealth one has, the more accountable he or she is, both before the society and before God. What is in practice is exactly opposite. The more money you have, the more you are above the law. You are brought to law only if you are caught. Otherwise, nobody knows how much you are stealing and how much these banks and these big people, they took from our pockets. Quran is very clear in saying that if it is the responsibility of those who have more to take care of those who have less. According to Islam, all rights belonging to God, all rights belonging to God are for the common good of people. God doesn't need us to protect himself. He has established his rights so that we protect the rights of fellow human beings. When we go to the mosque and pray, does God need our prayers? No. Why do then we go and pray? To realize that God has given us this opportunity to connect with him so that we can connect with people. And there is a beautiful chapter in Quran, very short chapter, that says that the one who doesn't care about the poor and hungry and the needy and the orphan is the one who comes to the mosque and prays, but his prayers are just to show people. So there is a connection between the virtue that one relates to God and his or her relationship with common people. That's what we need to discuss in this country. Not a whole lot of rhetoric that we hear in this political season. Rhetoric of hatred and violence and bigotry that comes out often. Globalization for the common good. We live in a global village, and globalization has become a key word that is being used again and again. But how this globalization can benefit us? Only with a fresh approach, a moral perspective, and an enduring solution of the current economic crisis. And I would like to quote here a scholar who said that the need, this necessitates disabusing minds from unfounded premises of neoclassical economics that extol individualism and maximization of profit, private gain as the surest way to societal felicity. It also requires bringing ethics and morality back into economics and finance. Islam looks now a little bit about environment. Everybody is talking about environment. We are in May and we are still thinking about colder days, 2 colder days, 1 warm day, 2 colder days, 1 warm day. I was in Kuwait. It was supposed to be 40 degrees Celsius, 110 degrees. For me it was good because it was only 20 degrees Celsius. And one day I saw pouring rain. And people in Kuwait, they were surprised. Why? So the climate on earth is changing. It is changing in a way that it will affect our life. Look what happened in Houston, how much rain they had. It all flooded. And they had no capacity to deal with that. So Islam looks at earth's resources and the environment as a gift from the Almighty, as a trust from God to us, whom He describes as His best creation. In one of the verses in Quran, God says, human beings are my best creation. What does that mean? That He has given us the power to think, the power to act, not to destroy the earth, but to protect it, to make it more beautiful, more livable. In one of the statements, Prophet Muhammad, he said that you must plant the seed even if the trumpet for the doomsday has been blown. Means that you must do your job. We must protect the environment and the resources that God has given us in this earth, in this beautiful earth. We never think about the smaller act. I said to the brothers and sisters in the mosque in Macau, please put all the recyclable in this blue bin. A lot of them, they didn't understand. Why? Because they used to throw that all with the garbage. Because things that cannot be recycled, if we put the recyclable with that, we are destroying the resources that God has given us. We can use and reuse those things instead of wasting the earth resources. Okay. So, people of different faith together can play an important role in promoting peace and justice. And I just put a quote from President Obama when he established the faith-based initiative. He said that this is not only our call as people of faith, but this is our duty as citizens of America. So Islam is committed to the holistic well-being and prosperity of all human beings. Islam invites all people to strive for creating a moral force for global peace, tolerance, and understanding between and among communities, cultures, and nations. Islam focuses on protection of human dignity, promotion of interfaith and intercultural understanding, social and economic justice, eradication of poverty, hunger, violence, and oppression, and exploitation of earth resources. So, in conclusion, what we can do together? We can develop a harmony between and among religious communities. We can raise the level of understanding and respect. We can care for our neighbors. We can respect the diversity that exists among us, between us, within us. We can preserve the resources of the earth. We can commit ourselves to the highest values and standards of living that our faith provides us, we can strive for justice for all people, and hopefully we will be able to establish peace on this earth. Thank you very much.